Am I the villain?
Yeah.
What they gon' say? What they gon' say?
I had swiped him on Raya. He had like one photo of him actually playing tennis. Oh, cute. He played like college tennis. Like I didn't understand of like the professional tennis tour. When we first met, he had thumbtacked Team USA in his living room, but he told me that he did that because he wanted to like impress me. And I'm like, I didn't even know what you were talking about. I definitely got a lot of backlash, both from like within the tennis community and the fans. I'm calling attention to myself. People just expected me to like sit in the box, be relatively private, like not capitalize on my partner's career. Came in guns blazing and was like, well, fuck that. People make up insane things. It's just the same like misogynist, regurgitated bullshit again and again. And I'm like, oh, like get more creative. Like, come on, let's go. Sometimes I'm able to really use it as motivation too, where I'm like, the spite in me is gonna push me to do this even more because you're so mad about it.
Morgan, welcome to The Squeeze.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I'm very excited because we have something very similar in common. We both love men that are named Taylor.
Oh my gosh. I literally did not even put that together.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, I love that.
I know.
I do love Taylors.
Yeah.
Apparently.
We love them. we love a good Taylor. Okay, so we start each episode off with this jar. It's a little game called Citrus Got Real. If you want to pull a little paper out of there.
What's a little ding-ling-ling?
You used to wear headphones and you can like hear the ASMR drum roll.
Love it. Oh, God. Ooh, this is a hard one. Okay, if you were a board game, which one would you be and why?
Oh.
This is hard for me because I'm not like, what would you say? I don't know.
My gut reaction was to say sorry because I'm like the type of person that says sorry like way too much. Like my husband will like,
in you.
Yeah, he'll be like, stop saying sorry. Like it's fine. Like everything's fine. I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. I'm saying sorry. So sorry would probably be.
Are you into board game? That's a hard question for me because when someone tries to explain a board game to me, I literally lose every brain cell and I have no idea what's happening. And like they start speaking Simlish.
So Monopoly's not for you.
No, I don't think I think I played Uno. I played Mancala.
Yes.
Oh, you know what? The Game of Life.
Oh.
I played that at my lake cabin when I was growing up.
That's a good
in Minnesota.
Wow. So I'm excited to kind of just dive into your background because you haven't really opened up about some stuff in your past before. I know you've been open on social media with your mental health struggles, but you've never really like dove into what has made you you. So I'd love to kind of learn more about like what makes you you behind all of the glitz and the glam and the cute outfits and all of that stuff. But I guess I'd love to start with kind of growing up. What was your first introduction to mental health?
I would say my very first was my grandma actually had schizophrenia.
Okay.
So, you know, very much a familial, like was introduced from it very early on. She ended up taking her life like when my mom was in college or had just like finished college and just before she got pregnant with me. So I never actually got to meet that grandma, but you know, was told about it as I got older and stuff. And then I think my first like personal experience with mental health anxiety was in high school. Yeah. I was like a very troublesome kid, which I think I have talked about before on my platforms. But I had like a really bad GPA in college or in high school. And then when I was thinking about getting into college, I started having so much anxiety because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to get into college. I'm not going to be able to afford college. I knew I'm from the Midwest. Yeah. And I knew I wanted to get out of the Midwest. Like I was like, this is not the place for me. I watched Ugly Betty. Okay. I feel like everyone from the Midwest who goes to New York has, you know, it's either Sex and the City or Gossip Girl. Like they have some sort of movie or TV that really draws them to New York. Mine was Ugly Betty. I was obsessed with it. Oh my gosh. I wanted to go to New York. I wanted to work for a magazine. I wanted to be a journalist, like that sort of thing. But the reality in high school was like, you're not going to end up in New York because you don't have the grades to get into a school in New York. Yeah. And for 2 years, that just destroyed me. It was so stressful. I did end up going to college in New York and like
Yeah.
getting in and everything. But the pressure of that was so much, and I started seeing a therapist like around that time.
Okay. Where in the Midwest are you from?
I'm from Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Okay. Taylor's from Michigan, so I always have to ask. Yes.
Midwest, we love it.
Yeah, we love a good Midwest.
Midwest boys are the best. Sorry I mean, my boyfriend's never going to listen to this, but I always tell my girlfriends who are single, I'm like, just go to Wisconsin for like a year.
Yeah.
I promise you'll find someone good.
That's actually really good advice. I should tell my single friends to do that because they're always like, "What do I do?" That's some good advice.
They all look like a little bit lumberjacky.
Yeah.
And they've got beards and they're like family guy. I mean, of course, there's terrible men everywhere, but for the most part, most of the guys that I know from the Midwest are like great people.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Did your mom have any mental health struggles?
no, it was
Or
actually
was it her mom? It was her mom, you said.
yeah,
right?
it was my mom's mom. And you know, I've actually talked to friends about this before because I have a great relationship with my mom. Like she is the best person that I know. But I have a lot of girlfriends who have like very difficult relationships with their moms because their moms were emotional or reactive or had substance issues or and we've talked about sort of like what gets passed down to you from your parents and that sort of thing. And like, and I've said it can go two different directions where they sort of bring that trauma and like generational abuse with them, or they go to the complete opposite end. And my mom went to the complete opposite end. Like I think her mom, because of her mental health issues, was, you know, very emotional, and it's hard to grow up in a household with a parent who has mental health issues. But my mom like just didn't carry that with her. Like in my entire life, she's never raised her voice at me once, and she's painfully optimistic, like almost to a fault, super generous, and yeah, didn't have any sort of issues like that. And so I think another reason too, when I was like 16 years old and I started having anxiety attacks and panic attacks, because she had seen that in her mother.
Yeah.
She got me into therapy right away, like took it super seriously, which I'm very grateful for.
Did she notice you were struggling, or was it something that you were feeling and spoke up about?
I think the first time that she sort of like noticed it really bad, and was like, all right, we're getting you into therapy. We were at actually a Broadway show in New York on a college visit.
Oh, wow.
And we're sitting watching a Broadway performance of Mamma Mia, which is like my favorite movie ever. And I can't remember what musical number it was during, but there's something weird about like theatrical performances that I love going to see them, but sometimes I get really bad anxiety during them for no reason. I've never been able to figure out why that is.
Yeah.
Maybe it's from like this instance, but in the middle of a musical number, all of a sudden it just felt like I had this like wave of like dread come over me. I think because we'd been looking at colleges that day, I was so stressed about it. I was feeling so much pressure, but I had like a full panic attack in the middle of the audience during Mamma Mia and had to like run out of the theater. And yeah, that's when she was like, okay, something's going on with you. Like, let's get you into therapy. And then I started going to weekly therapy, which helped a lot. I'm very grateful that she took it seriously, because I know a lot of, you know, parents who maybe don't understand anxiety or don't understand mental health issues maybe aren't as quick to get their kids into seeing help. But I'm grateful that she did, because I don't know where I would be at right now if she didn't.
That's amazing. Do you still have that thing if you see a Broadway show, or if
Sometimes I do. It's so strange. It's like I grew up with musical theater. Like I did musical theater growing up. I love theater and theatrical performances, and like I'm listening to like the Wicked soundtrack on the way over here. But yeah, there's been like a couple times where I've gone to see plays or operas or something, and I get sort of like, I don't know if it's PTSD from that show, but I get like really bad anxiety watching them. It's so strange.
How long were you in therapy for?
Well, I've been on and off in therapy since I was like 16.
Okay.
So in high school, I stayed in it those 2 years, and interestingly enough, like when I went to college, my entire experience in college, it was almost like all of that had sort of disappeared. And I think part of that was I was super busy in college. I was in my dream city. I lived in a sorority. Yeah. We can have houses in New York because it's like this archaic law that they're considered brothels, but we had like a floor in a building that was my sorority.
Wait, what? Wait, what is that?
There's Michigan actually has the same law, but you can't have like fraternity or sorority houses in the state of New York because of this super old law about like a bunch of genders living in some sort of commune or something is illegal there. Which sorority falls under that umbrella. So, but I lived on this floor with like a bunch of girls. I had a really strong sense of community. I felt like I really had a purpose. I loved my studies. Like, so the entire time that I was in college, I had no mental health. Like anxiety didn't exist to me.
Yeah.
Which is so strange. And then shortly after I graduated, I was having a great time working at a corporate job in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And then the pandemic hit. And then everything, it was like I'd reverted back to sort of my like high school self, and just in terms of anxiety, which I think was super normal. Like I went from, having a strong sense of purpose and community to isolation, terror. Like it was a hard transition. So then I got back into therapy pretty much like I would say maybe 6 months after the pandemic started, and have mostly been in it since.
Did you go back to that same therapist, or?
I didn't. I couldn't remember her name. It was like 5 or 6 years later.
Oh, wow.
She was great, but also was based in Minnesota. So I moved out to LA in March of 2020. Like worst time ever to move here.
Poor thing.
And so I had to find like an online therapist based in California.
Yeah.
And I think I had 2 or 3 different ones in like 2021, 2022. And then I've been with the same one for the past year. And he's actually kind of more of a life coach than a therapist.
Okay.
I think because I'd done therapy for so long, like I know it can be really, really helpful to have someone who's more of, I think a lot of therapy is active listening.
Yeah.
But I was at the point where like I'd talked through my issues, I'd gone through my trauma. Like I just needed sort of, I wanted someone who was more sort of non-biased, who I could be really, really open with, who would not just be an active listener, but also give me business advice and relationship advice. And I could figure out like, this person just sent this to me, like, what should I say?
Yeah.
Like I wanted that. And I found that, and it's been great. Kind of like a mix between therapist and life coach, but yeah, that's sort of what's working best for me right now. Because with my travel and schedule and everything, it's just, I couldn't do it. I was spending, when I was in therapy and in that sort of system, I had to cancel so many appointments, like last minute, was getting charged, whatever. So I have him on retainer that basically anytime, like if there's a week where I need to talk to him 4 times, like we'll have 4 sessions. If, there's 2 weeks where I'm like, yeah, I'm busy, I'm doing good, then, we'll have like a little check-in or something, but it's kind of on a week by week basis. But, sometimes I'll be like, I got this offer for this brand deal, but there's something about it that just like doesn't feel right in my gut, that sort of thing. And then he'll kind of talk me through that. So it's like deep stuff, but it's also like, I need some business advice, which is, it's nice to have that.
Is that how, with a life coach, because I haven't worked with a life coach before, is that what they tend to, is it just more like overview of everything instead of just like therapy, like mental health problem?
Yeah. And I think it all sort of ties back to each other. Because like, let's say, for example, I take this brand deal for a company that I don't really like, and I film this video and I put a representation of myself very publicly that I don't feel good about. Like that comes back to you in terms of mental health. Like everything is connected. If I'm, promoting these things that I don't believe in, that sort of takes like a sense of my self-value and like the respect that I have for myself away, because I'm doing this thing for money that I don't actually believe in. It all sort of like ties back to each other. So that's what him and I talk a lot about, is like everything will come back to like my sense of like self and sense of self-worth. So even the little things like that are worth talking about if it's, sitting on my conscience. You know?
Is self-worth something that you struggle with, or is that just a topic of overall arching, just like you in general?
Yeah. No, I wouldn't say I struggle with it. I mean, there's definitely moments where I'm hard on myself for sure, but I think that's just sort of the nature of being on the internet. Like it's easy to be really hard on yourself about things.
Yeah, for sure. When did you start doing content?
I think full-time like 2 years ago.
Okay.
So relatively new. Like after I graduated school, I worked in corporate And then kind of just started like posting when I was traveling with Taylor a bit. And I think I was posting for maybe like 6 months to a year before I even really made money off of it. So
Yeah. Okay, it is March, and I know for some of us, we have kind of just forgotten what is on our 2025 resolution, vision board goals for the year. But hopefully, you are still somewhat dreaming about your wellness routines and just how to better yourself in this year. I've talked a lot about how in 2025, I really am wanting to focus on bettering myself from the inside out and really just focusing on energy, glowing skin, gut health, because we all know that when you feel good, you look good. And spring is on its way, and now is the time to refocus on those goals. One thing that I've been super consistent with is Symbiotica's vitamin C. And let me tell you, lemon drops, you have been missing out if you haven't tried this product yet. My skin, brighter. My energy, clean and steady. It's truly the perfect morning boost. If you haven't heard of Symbiotica, Symbiotica is truly as clean as it gets. There's no seed oils, preservatives, or artificial junk, just high quality, real ingredients that actually do something. And I'm telling you guys, when you take this stuff consistently, you will feel and see a difference. Symbiotica is truly one of those companies that I know with whatever product I am taking from them, I know that I'm getting the highest quality and I know that I will see results within myself. Symbiotica, wellness made simple. You can go to symbiotica.com/squeeze for 20% off plus free shipping. That's symbiotica.com/squeeze for 20% off plus free shipping. Lemon drops, if you are looking for a partner in wedding planning, well, look no further because the Knot is here to plan with you. From gathering inspo and scoring expert advice to finding your venue and figuring out your budget, they'll connect you to all the people, places, and tools you need. Plus, the Knot makes it easy for you to keep your guests in the loop so you can stay focused on what really matters, celebrating your love with the people who mean the most to you. This may be the first time that you're putting together something this big, this visible, and this meaningful. And the Knot is taking the guesswork out of all of that. The Knot has the most venues and vendors across any wedding site in any location. When I tell you guys that I wish I knew of the Knot when I was wedding planning, you have to check their website out. It is unreal. From venues to cake decorators to florists to literally like everything. They have it on their website, and this website is so easy to navigate. I would plan another wedding just to be able to use the Knot. And also what's so great is you can really plan anywhere, anytime with the wedding planning app with the most 5-star reviews. Let the Knot connect you to all of the people, places, and tools you need to help bring your wedding to life. Get started at theknot.com/audio. That is THEKNOT.com/AUDIO. Let the Knot be your partner in all things wedding planning. Get started at theknot.com/audio. Again, that is THEKNOT.com/AUDIO. You know that feeling when you try so hard to eat healthy, only to realize you really don't have any idea where to start? And let me tell you, this is why I love Thrive Market. It is my go-to online shopping grocery store for getting all of my healthy essentials delivered, and I don't even have to leave my couch. I don't know about you, but I want to be able to pronounce the ingredients on my grocery labels. And with over 10,000 food additives allowed in the US, it's hard to know what exactly is safe to eat. And that's why I love Thrive Market, the no junk online grocery store that bans over 1,000 harmful ingredients. Their team of product researchers do the hard work for me, so I don't have to spend hours reading labels, and they have all of the hard to find brands at the best prices. I can't tell you guys how fun it is shopping on Thrive Market because I know that the products that I'm seeing are healthy. There's not going to be these harmful additives in them. And I love the way the website is set up. It is so fun to shop. I'm currently obsessed with Chomps. I'm sure you guys have heard of the beef sticks. They're amazing. And I have been adding those to my cart every week. They also have so many on-site filters that make it simple to shop by your needs, whether that's gluten-free snacks, high-protein meals, or non-toxic cleaning products. They truly have something for everyone. Ready to make the switch? Go to thrivemarket.com/squeeze for 30% off your first order plus a free $60 gift. That's THRIVE market.com/squeeze. thrivemarket.com/squeeze. When did you and Taylor meet?
We met in 2020, not long after I moved to LA.
Okay.
On Raya, because there was no other way to meet people during COVID.
Yeah.
So
No, I'm all for a good, I mean, I didn't use them because me and Taylor have been together for way too long, and I probably wasn't even of age to use one, but all my single friends, I'm like, how else are you gonna, like, everyone's so busy.
Yeah.
Even like now, like life is back to normal, but
yeah. Oh, I have so many girlfriends who have met their husbands, fiancés, boyfriends on Raya, Hinge, Bumble, whatever.
yeah. I feel like there's like this new wave of like normalcy to it as well. Cause I know some people who like were married probably like 5-7 years ago, and they like wouldn't tell people that they met like online.
Yeah.
And like now it's like such like a normal thing.
Yeah,
to
I've
say.
always been open about it because I'm like, someone will find out eventually.
Yeah. So then you guys started dating. Then what did you know who he was? Did you watch tennis?
No, I didn't know anything about tennis. I remember when I had swiped him on Raya, he had like one photo of him actually playing tennis. And I remember when I saw it, I would go, oh, cute. He played like college tennis. Like, I didn't understand. I don't even think I really like understood. I mean, I knew like Serena Williams and Roger Federer, but the actual concept of like the professional tennis tour, I knew nothing about. I grew up in Minnesota. Nobody cared or played about tennis in Minnesota. You know, it was very much ice hockey, and that was about it.
Yeah.
And I mean, he wasn't at the like level that he's at. I think he was ranked around like 40 or something. Definitely wasn't, you know, where he is at now. And he's told me, I remember the first time that I went to hang out with him at his house when we first met, he had thumbtacked a Team USA shirt onto one of his walls in his living room, which I didn't even register, but he told me that he did that because he wanted to like impress me. And I'm like, I didn't even know what you were talking about.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, no, definitely was not super aware of him and his career. And it took me a long time to even understand it because they weren't playing when we first met. They're on pause because of COVID. So yeah.
When did he start playing again?
I think it was that September 2020. Okay. The first tournament, I believe, was in Rome.
Okay.
Yeah.
When did you start traveling with him?
That tournament.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And you've just been doing it ever since?
Pretty much. Because it was still basically like lockdown here. I was like, okay, either I sit by myself in an apartment in LA or I sit in a hotel in Paris. Kind of rather sit in a hotel in Paris. So
you're not wrong.
That was and I was working remote, so I could kind of do whatever.
Okay. So okay.
Yeah.
When did you quit that job?
I quit that. I'm trying to remember. It was either 2 or 3 years ago at Australian Open.
Okay.
And that was the same week that I started posting my like first videos that kind of blew up.
Yeah. It was time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wanted to have fun. It was when like Get Ready With Me videos were just like, they weren't where they're at now on TikTok. It was like people had just started posting like, get ready with me for lunch, you know, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's kind of cute. And so I did like Get Ready With Me for a tennis match. And it was that same week that I sent in my resignation. So it just kind of happened to like work out. And the videos started popping off immediately. It wasn't like a slow build by any means.
Yeah. I love that.
I just went into it.
Was it an adjustment for you having to like travel as much as you guys do, or did it just kind of feel like natural?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I was so just itching to do something because it'd been months of being in the pandemic. So I was like, let's get out of the US. Like, thank God. And the tournaments weren't enjoyable by any means. They were called bubble tournaments. The only places that we could go was the tournament site or the hotel. So it's not like I was out like exploring Paris. Literally the first year that I was on tour, I was isolated in a hotel room or at the tennis courts, and that was it. Kind of miserable, but I was like, well, at least I'm like, you know, seeing the world, kind of doing something.
Yeah.
But I'd always wanted to travel so bad. Like when I was younger, I was obsessed with Animal Planet, National Geographic. You know, I had my phase where I was obsessed with like Alexis Wren on Instagram and her whole Bali travel life. And as a teenager in Minnesota, that was like, it seemed so out of reach and impossible for me.
For sure.
And yeah, I always thought like traveling the world would be so cool, but obviously it was hard for me to imagine that would be sort of a reality for me. So I think that's something I'm every day like so grateful for, that I've been able to go to all these places and explore different cultures and try weird cuisines. And yeah, I'm happy that I've gotten to do that.
Yeah. How do you, when you guys are traveling that much, how do you like set aside time to prioritize your relationship? Because I feel like that's something that I struggle with even just being at home and like working from home. Like sometimes I'm like, okay, we need to like put aside work and like actually just like spend like one-on-one time together.
Yeah.
Has that been hard to do?
I mean, it's nearly impossible when we're at tournaments because he is practicing all day. Like he does 2 hours of physio treatment, then 2 hours of practice, then an hour in the gym, then he has to eat whatever. And then by the time that he gets back to the hotel, he's exhausted. Like some, you know, we'll go try to do dinner. We have some places where we both just like love the city, like Tokyo, for example. If we're in Tokyo, like if he's not practicing, we are like out exploring the city, going to the mini pig cafe and going and having ramen and that sort of thing. So there's certain places where we really try to make it feel a little more vacation-esque. But at the end of the day, for both of us, it's just work at this point.
Yeah.
We watch shows in bed every night before we go to sleep, and that's kind of our time together.
Yeah. I imagine like your off time when you're home, that's probably like the most important time for you guys.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you like to stay at home when you're off, or is it more like you guys want to go vacation somewhere?
We are very different people. I am like I want to be out. I want to be meeting people. I want to go do this. I want to sightsee. He's very shy, introverted, homebody, like wants to stay home, wants to be at home. So it's kind of a balance for sure. He's definitely like made me much more sort of introverted and homebody. It's more enjoyable when you have someone else to do it with, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, when we're home, I like to go out and do stuff with my friends.
Yeah.
I kind of describe him as like a indoor boyfriend, you know, like an indoor cat.
Yeah.
Like he's an indoor boy, you know, he everything he wants to do, he's indoors. I don't have to check his location or where he's at. I know he's at home playing video games right now, which is actually, I think it works for us.
Yeah, no, that's great. I bet he needs like a mental like release, like just some form of distraction. And I feel like athletes are so prone to play video games, and I like 100% support it. I feel like when people hear like of grown men playing video games, they're like, "Why are you doing that?" But I actually feel like for athletes, it's such a good like distraction because I don't know what else a grown man would do to like fully engulf his like mind to like, you know, not have to like think about, you know, being a professional athlete. I can't even imagine how stressful that is. But I feel like with a video game, they're like able to just like fully, we know so many football players that just play video games and that's their thing.
Yeah.
And at first I was like, that's random. But now I'm like, oh wait, no, that actually makes sense.
Yeah. No, I see girls complain about it all the time. I'm like, okay, I get it. If your boyfriend's like absolutely degenerate, plays video games all the time, doesn't prioritize anything else, doesn't have a career, like that's sort of the stereotype of like the gamer boyfriend. But I'm like, this is his time. Like if he wants to have this hobby, and I've asked his other friends who are players, I'm like, so what do you guys do? I'm like, Taylor comes home and he'll play video games. Like, what do you do? Yeah. And they're like, FaceTime people, watch shows. Yeah, everyone's got their own thing.
Yeah.
But it's really nice. It works really well for us because, for example, when we're at tournaments, he is at the courts, he's practicing all day, he's got his stuff. I'll go to a museum, I'll make content, I'll go hang out with friends in the city, that sort of thing. And then we both get home at night. He wants to go on his computer and play video games, and then I'll go on my computer and like edit content and do work. If he didn't have that hobby, and every time I got home, he's like, all right, what are we doing? Let's go do this. Let's go to dinner. I'd be like, I just need some space right now. So yeah, it definitely works well for us.
Yeah, I love that. I'm curious now, you know, living such a public life, one on social media, but also because of your relationship, it's very followed and constantly talked about thing. Did you have a hard time adjusting to the outside noise? Because I mean, I could be wrong, but I have a feeling that older tennis fan players maybe weren't thrilled to have this cute little blonde girl coming in and speaking up.
No, not at all. Yeah, it's been, I don't know. I have waves. Sometimes I handle it really well. I think I've always been like naturally very confident and like open to putting myself out there, and also having the belief of like what people say, like they're not saying it about me. It's like them, like what you think of me is actually a reflection of you. And like, I do fully believe in that. If I did something like really genuinely terrible and problematic, or if I was a bully to someone, or if I said something offensive, I get it. But like nothing hateful that people say towards me actually is anything that I've like necessarily done. I feel like a lot of it's just like a stupid influencer, you know nothing about tennis. I'm like, okay, like it's really not that like hurtful sort of things, you know?
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's like is there like what's the craziest thing you've like heard, or just like something you've been like, wait, what are you like, why?
I mean, people make up insane things, which I'm sure you've had experience with. Like sometimes I'll see something online that I'm like, people will just write things as a fact, and it's so like uneducated and out of touch, and also like you don't know me. So what would make you say people are fucking weird? Like, sorry, I don't know if
you're allowed to pass.
Okay, like people are just so strange. I'm trying to think if there's any. I don't know. It's all kind of the same. That's why I feel like it doesn't really affect me that much either. Is like it's just the same like misogynist regurgitated bullshit again and again. And I'm like, oh, like get more creative. Like come on, let's go. But yeah, I feel like I've handled it for the most part pretty well. Sometimes, of course, my feelings get hurt. Sometimes I'm able to really use it as motivation too, where I'm like, oh, you like. The spite in me is going to push me to do this even more because you're so mad about it.
Yeah. Why do you think that? Because I was asking Taylor this, because obviously he knew who you were before I did, like way back in the day. He was like, oh yeah, that's Taylor's girlfriend. And I was like, oh wait, you know who that is?
Does he follow tennis?
Yes. He's like, he's not a diehard tennis person. He does love tennis and he wants to get more into it, but he knew who Taylor was, and he has a decent amount of knowledge about it. And he was like, yeah, the like old school tennis people like aren't like the biggest fans of her. And like, I don't really know why. And I was like, oh really? And I was like, why? Like I asked him, why do you think that is? And he was like, I mean, I don't really know, because he's like he's newer to tennis, but why do you think that is?
I think historically, a lot of the like older wives and partners on the tour have been very private, heads down in the box. They're there to like cheer on their partner. They didn't have, like super public personas. There were a couple players in like the 90s that dated celebrities and stuff, but they were like kind of doing their own thing. Like it wasn't anyone who was really showing up on social media like as a tennis wag.
Yeah.
So when I posted my first TikTok, I don't know if this is true, but I have been told by people on like the tennis tour that when I was first posting TikToks a couple years ago, there was like a clique of older like wives on the tour, and they would send my videos in their group chat and just like make fun of me. So I definitely got a lot of backlash, both from like within the tennis community and the fans. I think just because it was different, and I'm calling attention to myself, and people wanted me, or I guess it just expected me to like sit in the box, be relatively private, like not capitalize on my partner's career. And I kind of came in guns blazing and was like, well, fuck that.
Yeah.
And posted whatever I wanted to. So yeah, I don't know. I think people think I'm annoying sometimes. I definitely have a certain persona on, I would say, TikTok specifically, where I kind of feed into it.
Yeah.
And say things that I know are like controversial enough that it will piss people off, but it's not like gonna get me canceled.
Yeah. You're a good businesswoman. You know how to run these things. I'm curious, has at any point, like what has the effect of the noise had on your relationship, if any? Like has it
Oh,
Has it put a strain in it? Has it like helped make you guys stronger? Like what has that been for
yeah.
you?
I wouldn't say it has had any effect. I mean, Taylor has always been really good about just not like, I think when it first started happening, I would be like, oh my gosh, like, look at what this person said. And he'd be like, why are you reading that? But also, he went pro when he was 17. Like, he has dealt with that for so much, much longer than I had.
Yeah.
So he was very helpful in kind of like coaching me through that, I guess. But yeah, like I said, people write crazy things about like us and our relationship and about me and about him. And I think both of us are united in the fact of like, okay, we really love each other. We have a very healthy relationship. Nothing that anyone says online is going to have any sort of effect on that. And he's also been really good about being super defensive of like me and what I'm doing. And that's what is interesting too, is so many people have like such a problem with me, capitalizing on like tennis and like his career. And he has always encouraged me and supported me to do it and like wants to be a dual income household. And he's like, hell yeah, So
love
I'm
that.
like, why do other people have a problem with it? People have a problem with anything, but
Yeah.
no, I wouldn't say it's negatively affected our relationship at all.
Yeah.
Thank God.
I can tell how much he supports you, just how much you talk, like how you are speaking about it. Like you sitting here saying like capitalize off of his career. I know 100% that he supports like what you're doing. And I feel like I've had people be like, oh, well, she's just like doing this because of her husband, or like she's just like getting this because of this. I'm like, well, okay.
Or you only started dating him because he was
Yeah. I'm like, okay, we've heard that one before. It's fine. But just like here, like I actually don't know many people that would sit here and who are dating or married to someone that, is a pro athlete, is a celebrity, and say like capitalize off of his career.
Yeah.
Which
Well, I mean, like, I know that's not the classiest way to put it, but
I
like,
love it though.
that's what I've done.
It is what it is. And I feel like it shows that
I'll be real. I'll be fucking real about it. Like,
Yeah.
I know that.
But I love that. And I love that you're just like completely honest. And it shows how much like if he didn't support you, you wouldn't be saying that.
Yeah.
So like he clearly like 100% like backs you in what you're doing. And
It's almost sort of like a competition between us now at like Grand Slams and stuff of who's going to make more money during the Grand Slam. Like, I'm like,
my
okay,
gosh.
you got to make it past the fourth round this tournament. Otherwise, I'm going to make
my
more money
gosh.
than you this
That
week.
is
And he's
so good.
it's healthy competition between
love
us.
that.
But
What do you think is the most misunderstood thing about you?
oh my gosh, that's a good question. I don't know. I think that's a hard question for me to answer because I really try not to pay any sort of attention to like how people perceive me.
Yeah.
Like that's for like me to decide.
Yeah.
I kind of like people thinking I'm an idiot though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I feel like
I'm okay
that's
with
like
that.
kind of fun. You know that.
It's like the bimbo feminism sort of, which I wouldn't necessarily say I support, but I'm like, if someone else puts that on me, I'm fine with that.
Yeah. I feel like when people see you, they probably just think, yeah, it is just some cute little tennis girlfriend that has a cute outfit and is.
But I'll like feed into that. Like at Wimbledon this year, I did. I recreated this like Barbie doll from the 1960s. Like recreated an outfit.
I
from
saw
it.
this.
Yeah, so I try to like. I will embrace it.
Yeah.
Why not? So, ironically, but
Yeah. When it comes to running a business, communication is key. Whether that's closing deals, supporting customers, or keeping your team in sync, staying connected is everything. That's why you need OpenPhone, the smarter way to manage your business's communication. OpenPhone is the #1 business phone system that will help you separate your personal life from your growing business. For just $15 a month, the cost of a few coffees, your team can have a dedicated phone number to manage calls and texts all from a single platform. It's like having a shared inbox for your own phone number. OpenPhone works through an app on your phone or computer and integrates the HubSpot and hundreds of other systems. Plus, AI-powered call transcripts and summaries save you time, and auto-replies ensure you will never miss a customer interaction. Whether you're a one-person operation and need help managing calls automatically, or have a large team and need better tools for efficiency, OpenPhone is a no-brainer. See why over 50,000 businesses trust OpenPhone to streamline their customer communication. Right now, OpenPhone is offering 20% off for your first 6 months when you go to openphone.com/squeeze. That's OPENPHONE.com/squeeze for 20% off your first 6 months. Openphone.com/squeeze. And if you have an existing number with another service, OpenPhone will port them over at no extra charge. Okay, so January might be over, but it's still not too late to implement a new routine, resolution, challenge, goal, something that you want to strive towards this year. For me, at the start of the year was upping my protein intake because I recently learned that I have been consuming a fraction of the amount of protein that I need in my diet. And that's where Premier Protein comes into play for me. They have ready to drink protein shakes, but also great tasting powders. These ready to drink protein shakes have been a lifesaver for me in upping my protein intake. I keep these drinks in the fridge, and when I'm running out the door to an appointment, a meeting, we have a taping, whatever it may be, I can just grab one of those drinks, drink it in the car. I can have it just next to me while I'm on Zoom meetings. It is so convenient, but also they taste so good. Some protein drinks are disgusting. Premier Protein is not that. They have flavors like vanilla, strawberry, cinnamon roll, which is really cool. Cafe latte has coffee in it, which I absolutely love. But they also have some really cool flavors like peaches and cream, chocolate peanut butter, cookies and cream, and bananas and cream. And if you're looking to up your protein intake, which most of us are, you need to check out Premier Protein. You can visit premierprotein.com and go to where to buy to find a retailer near you or to find where to shop online. Okay, Lemon Drops. So I have been talking about how part of my 2025 goal for this year is really focusing on my wellness from within, making sure I'm really targeting the inside of my body and doing things for the inside so that that can then show on the outside. And something that I've been trying to do is incorporate drinking more water and more electrolytes in my diet. And let's be real, if you're like me, it's so hard to drink water. I don't know when it became like that, but I feel like it's so hard to drink water and actually get the amount of electrolytes that you need. And that's where Gatorade Hydration Booster comes in. These electrolyte drinks are truly so good. I have gone through so many of these boxes. Me and Taylor both are actually obsessed with them because there's a lot of electrolyte drinks out there that just are way, 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 way too salty. And that makes me drink even less water than I originally was. These Gatorade hydration boosters actually taste great and they're not too salty at all. This one is actually my favorite flavor. It's the strawberry watermelon. They have 3 different flavors. This one is the one that always ends up going first in our household. But these hydration boosters have an advanced blend of electrolytes from ingredients like watermelon salt and sea salt. They're packed with essential vitamins like A, C, B3, B5, and B6. There's no artificial flavors, sweeteners, or color added. These are formulated specifically for all day, always on hydration. You guys need to try these if you don't. Hydration is actually one of the most important things for our body. And making sure we have those needed electrolytes is so important. So put your water to work with Gatorade Hydration Booster. I feel like the answer to this is probably no, but do you feel like you've struggled at all with finding your identity outside of just being the girlfriend? Because I feel like when Taylor and I first started dating, that was definitely something that I struggled with. And I feel like I sometimes struggle with it even now when I'm more so just like feeling insecure about like what I'm doing or like my purpose or like what exactly I'm supposed to be doing. Is that something that you've struggled with?
Yeah, I think because I started social media like later in life and started dating him at a point where I was like, felt like I had my feet on the ground and I knew who I was and I'd built my own career. When I started posting, like so much of my content is about like travel and tennis and my outfits and like F1. Like I keep it very compartmentalized. Like I've been in LA for a couple weeks. I don't really post about my life in LA. Like I don't think most of my followers or subscribers would know what my apartment looks like. They don't really know who my friends are. Like I keep like my life here very separate from like my online persona. And that's been very intentional. So I can sort of have like a sense of autonomy outside the internet. And like my books and my hobbies and that sort of thing is so like separate from like what I post online for the most part. I mean, I'll like share book recommendations and stuff, but there are, as open as I am on the internet, there's so much of my life that I do keep like very private to myself, which has been, I think, really important because I have so much feedback of like, oh, like your whole life is just being Taylor's girlfriend. And I'm like, the whole life that I show you online is being his girlfriend, but like, that's very intentional because it separates like me from internet me.
Yeah, it's like almost like another persona. Like
exactly.
Wow. That's really awesome that you have that boundary, because a lot of creators, I feel like, sometimes struggle with just like oversharing and literally like sharing everything because, you know, they either like want the views or honestly sometimes maybe they don't even want the views. It's just they don't like think to do that. So I love that you are intentional with that, because I feel like that probably like saves a lot of not heartache, but like I guess heartache with like, you know, who you are and how to separate that. And when those haters do make comments, you're like, actually that's like you're just judging this like persona of a human you don't even know. Like you don't know who I am behind closed doors.
It's like like you just post about being Taylor Fritz's girlfriend, or like all you are is Taylor Fritz's girlfriend. I'm like, yes, that is exactly what I want you to think. Yeah. And, you know, if you, it's a good sort of mental separation for me.
Going through so much therapy, growing up in your childhood, and also now having a life coach, what are some of those tools that you use for your mental health?
Yeah. I mean, in terms of just like day to day, like having a good routine, having a morning routine. Mine definitely switches up, but I think the most important things is like finding things that work for me. And I think that's an issue with a lot of content creators and like wellness content creators is people are like, this is the perfect morning routine that you have to do for optimization. But obviously everybody is so different. Yeah. Personally, like I like waking up really, really early. If I wake up before the sun rises, that's when I feel my best. And there's little things like I hate green juice. If I know that I have to get up and have a green juice, like it makes me not want to get out of bed. I want to get out of bed. I want to go straight for my coffee machine. Like I don't give a fuck about my cortisol spiking, whatever. Like that is what will get me out of bed in the morning. Like makes me happy to start my day. I also, it's just like little things that's been trial and error of like trying to be really intentional about the things that cause little moments of joy throughout my day. Like everything comes back to like, okay, what can I do today or what can I do in this moment that's going to cause me like a little spark of joy? And it's been really trying to find those little moments. I was actually talking to my friend. We were talking about like reality shows or something. And transparently, I don't really watch reality TV. Yeah. But a couple years ago, I watched Love Island USA season 2. Okay. Because one of my girlfriends was going on it. Okay. And you know how they are like filming every day and then they live like post the episode that night, whatever. So anyways, over the course of this month, I got into this routine where every single morning I would wake up, I'd go downstairs, I'd make my coffee, I'd go back upstairs, get into bed, and I would start the first hour of my day watching an episode of Love Island. And that month, I look like so fondly upon that month because it was like starting my day. I wake up with anxiety a lot, but starting my day like that was like starting my day like putting my brain in a freezer. Like it was just starting it out with something that was so low stress and like just watching this drama, like entertainment of other people's lives. Yeah. And so I was thinking about that a couple months ago of like, wow, like that was a nice month. Like I really liked waking up in that way. And now I still don't watch much reality TV, but now every morning when I wake up, I turn on Disney Plus and I'll put on like an old Disney movie. And just for like 20 minutes while I'm sipping my coffee, I'll watch like 20 minutes of like Alice in Wonderland or 20 minutes of Snow White or something that's just very a sort of like childhood nostalgic, you know, just a sense of nothing's that serious. Like there's something about old Disney movies that make me really happy. And that's something that I've added into my morning routine now. That,
I love that.
Yeah, it's just like super simple and obviously not something that like all the girls on TikTok are saying, you need to add this to your morning routine, but that's what makes me happy. That's like sparks a moment of joy to start my day. So anyways, going back, my advice is to find the little things like that where you can find like those pockets of peace and simplicity.
Yeah.
So that's a big one. I think kind of going along with that, like meditation for me. I really believe in meditation, breath work, that sort of thing. I started doing breath work beginning of January.
Okay.
And I'm obsessed with it, like actually obsessed. And there's different breath works that you can do that almost make you feel kind of high.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, I'm really into it. And meditation, I always used to really struggle with because I have back issues. And when you do like meditation and they're like, sit with your back straight and your legs crossed. I hated meditation because like 2 minutes in, I'm cramping, like my back's cramping. I have the body of like a 50-year-old woman. And so now I do all my meditations like laying down on the floor. Like it's just like finding ways to sort of find what works for you. And I think there's so much good advice on the internet. Like you can learn anything I'm obsessed with YouTube, like watching not other content creators, but like informative videos on YouTube or like Vox channel on YouTube, because there's just so much interesting information out there. But yeah, I think it's just like finding those little things that will work for you. I think therapy is really important. I went on SSRIs like 2 years ago. I take Lexapro. That was huge for me, literally changed everything for me. So it's not really a one size fits all, but a lot of trial and error. But I think the most important thing I can say is just like try as much as you can in order to like find that peace and that happiness.
Yeah. And not to get like discouraged with it, because I feel like there is so much, like so many creators share their morning routines and I'm like, oh, I should do this. And not putting that pressure on yourself to be like, I have to do like all of these things like in the morning before I start my day. It's like, no, actually, like watch an old Disney movie for 20 minutes. Like I don't know anyone that does that, but I'm obsessed with it. Like finding those things that work for you are truly like so important.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this. You mentioned it, like having a set schedule and like being like schedule oriented. How do you like, or a routine, I should say. How do you keep a routine when you're traveling?
I pretty much do the same thing. Okay. A lot of times when we're traveling, I'll find like a local coffee shop.
Okay.
Get up. I'll do my morning walk to the same coffee shop every day. I have ClassPass, which is international. So I'll find a Pilates.
It's international?
Yeah. It's everywhere. Wow. I've taken cycling classes in German. I've done berries in Swedish. I've taken a lot of weird classes all across the world, but I'll find like a Pilates studio or something. So like I'm still getting up, I'm getting my coffee, I'm going to my workout class. I really have to not treat these trips like a vacation anymore. Yeah. Like don't need a glass of wine at dinner, don't need to sleep in. Like it is not a vacation, it's just my life. Yeah. And that took me probably 2 years to like come to terms with. Yeah. But much better about it now.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I didn't even like think about that. Like I always, whenever we travel, I'm like, oh yeah, because I'm not a big drinker, but if we're like out of town or somewhere, I'm always getting a drink with dinner, or always doing something. I didn't think about that. Did you realize that was like you were like getting stuck in like that cycle of sleeping in, or like always like?
Yeah, well, it was hard too because like I mentioned, the first year on tour, it was like these bubble tournaments. Yeah, I had no reason to get up. I couldn't go anywhere, you know. Yeah. And so when the tour finally did start, it was like, I get to see the world, and we're in Rome, and I'm having like wine every day, and it was just not sustainable for me whatsoever. So yeah, I had to kind of reel it back in, get a little more disciplined, I guess.
Yeah, good.
But sometimes I do still like a glass of wine.
Hey, there ain't nothing wrong with a glass of wine. I had one last night. So, 2 things that I saw that I want to, that are tools that I'd love to hear more about, is the worry list.
Oh, yes.
What is that?
Okay, so I think I'd heard it on a podcast or something, but basically I haven't done it for a while because I've learned to manage my anxiety much better. But when I would have moments of like really, really bad anxiety about something, basically in the list, I would write what my worry is, and then I would write what's the worst possible thing that could happen. So let's say I'm stressed about, what have I been stressed about lately? For example, plane crash.
Jesus, yeah.
I've never had flight anxiety, and now I'm like, every time I'm on a plane, I'm like, shit. Like, is this a Boeing 737? Oh my God. Oh, wow. I'm like texting my mom. I'm like, I love you so much. But yeah, so like lately, every time I get on a flight, I'm pretty stressed about that. So for example, I would write on the worry list, number 1, really anxious about flying. My number 2 would be, what's the worst that can happen? I die on this plane crash, like in the next 2 hours. And then the third bullet point would be, after the fact, like what actually happened. You know, I land in Miami, I land safely, I am fine, was panicking for nothing. And you do this every time that you're sort of like worried and anxious about something. And over time, you can like look at the list and see how much time you have wasted worrying about things and how, I mean, listen, sometimes the worst possible case scenario does happen.
Yeah.
Like, that's just life. But you can look at it and be like, well, literally the worst possible thing that could have happened, and I'm okay. And I got through it. And it sucked, but, you know, worrying about it for days on end before it happened didn't help me at all.
Yeah.
And so I did this for a long time. And over time, you kind of just look at it and you're like, wow, I'm really wasting a lot of time worrying about things that I do not need to be worrying about.
Yeah. I feel like just getting it out, like, is so healthy. Like, if you're really just writing it down or saying it to someone or saying it out loud to yourself, like, once you get that anxious thought, like, out of your mind into the world, I feel like it makes it seem so much less scary than you built it up to be in your head. Yeah. I love that.
Also now, if I haven't, like I said, I haven't done it in a while, but if I wanted to take that a step further and like really try to like evaluate myself and like the stress about it, putting that list into ChatGPT. Oh. And then I don't know how big of a ChatGPT. I know there's controversy if it's bad for the environment. Like, I probably should do some research on that, but ChatGPT can like learn things about you over time. I've gotten too many friends on using it for like therapy purposes. But if you take like this list and you can put it into ChatGPT and you can ask like, what are my cognitive distortions with my worries and like what's happening here, it can kind of like analyze that for you and like pick out your patterns and help try to reframe your mindset. You can ask it to like reframe this thought into like a better mindset for myself.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Technology.
I know, it's so scary.
I know.
But it can be helpful. Like, if you're someone who, let's say you can't afford therapy, right? Yeah. You can do that on the free version of ChatGPT, and like that can be a really, I think, great step in like working towards trying to figure yourself out and figuring out like your own like cognitive biases against yourself that are kind of self-harm in a way, you know?
Yeah. Okay, the next one I had was biting into a lemon.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Which is fitting. Which is very fitting. I wish those were real and we could do it. But.
Yeah. I think I put that on my story a while back. But when I talk about mental health online, this is something I try to be intentional about. Is like, if I'm talking about it, it's to give like tangible tips, advice, homework, book resources, podcast resources. Because I feel like, I don't know if you've seen this a lot, but I think a lot of times like, when content creators are talking about mental health or that sort of thing, it'll be like an Instagram story that's like, feeling really bad today, like normalize this with a heart. And I'm like, that's not super helpful. Yeah. So, this is kind of one of those like tangible tips of if you're ever having like an anxiety or panic attack, you can bite into a lemon, like with the peel and everything, just like bite right into it. And the sourness and like the texture of the peel will ground you immediately. It's just about getting like out of your head and into your body.
Yeah. I love that. And I don't know why I've never thought about that. Like,
next time you're stressed on an episode, just be like,
I know. Excuse me, one second. I know. I need to put real lemons in there, and I just start like eating them during the episode. But I saw on TikTok, someone posted that this video like went viral, and it was like this girl whose therapist told her to like always have a bag of sour candy with her to ground her. Yeah. And then I read this lemon thing and I was like, oh my gosh, that's literally like the same thing. And I never thought, my go-to is like ice in my hands.
Yeah.
But I really like that.
That's good for flight anxiety. Like, you can ask for a cup of ice from the flight attendant.
Yeah.
I've told people to do that before when they've asked on like Q&As about flight anxiety, and you just hold it in your palms till it melts.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the sort of transition from like doing something physical to get you out of your head is very, very helpful.
Yeah. I love a good grounding technique.
Yeah.
Last question I have for you is, if you could go back to one moment in your life, what moment would that be, and what would you say to yourself?
Wow. Well, honestly, the first thing that just popped in my mind is, and this kind of like brings us full circle back to the start of the episode, I was standing on stage. I was in rehearsal. I was playing Alma in Music Man.
Okay.
In my, I think this was like the start of senior year, my school play. And I remember I was on stage and I was wearing my normal clothes, but then I had this big dress, like, I can't remember what time period Music Man was set in, but I was wearing like this big dress, whatever. I had my phone in my back pocket and it kept like going off. Like my phone kept buzzing. And so I kind of go backstage. I reach under my dress, grab my phone out, and I had a bunch of texts from my mom that was like, sit down, are you sitting down, whatever. And I'd gotten a full ride to the college in New York that I'd spent 2 years in therapy panicking about trying to do. And she had sent me like a photo of like the full ride offer to the school. And like I instantly burst out crying. It was like one of the happiest. But I wish I could go back and just feel like it's all gonna work out. Everything's gonna like no need to worry. Worst case scenario, you'll figure it out. But I always think of that moment like very fondly that, you know, you can stress about things a lot, but usually things just tend to work out.
Yeah, I love that. Well, thanks for coming and hanging out with me today.
you.
I love getting
So
to
fun.
like learn about you, and I feel inspired to go make some content.
Yeah, girl.
And yeah, thanks for coming.
Thank you.